Oh my god, okay. I'm feeling a lot of mixed emotions right now. The Chicago Bears have just traded for former Super Bowl MVP quarterback Nick Foles. We have traded a 4th round compensatory pick for him to likely be our next starting quarterback in Chicago. What is up, guys? I'm back with the Bears offseason news videos. If you're new to the channel, subscribe for more Bears content, more Bears reaction videos, more Bears highlight videos, and more Bears content all offseason long. But guys, we have a new quarterback in town, and I have so many mixed emotions about this, okay? And I'll talk about these emotions throughout this video. I'll talk about some of the positives of this signing and the negatives as well, because there are both positives and negatives coming with this signing, okay? On one hand, we're getting a Super Bowl MVP winning quarterback who has had some stretches where he's looked absolutely unstoppable, like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But on the other hand, we're also getting a quarterback that for the large portion of his career has been mediocre or below mediocre. So there's a lot to talk about with this signing, okay? I'll talk about the contract first of all, okay? So the Jaguars thankfully are going to be paying $18.75 million of Nick Foles' dead cap space. So the Bears are only going to be left with $50 million to pay over the next 3 seasons, which is about $16.7 million per year. So we're only going to be paying him about $16.7 million per year, which I still think is a lot, but when you compare it to how much quarterbacks around the league are going to be paid, with this new CBA, with this increase in the salary cap, with how much, quarterback salaries are increasing in general, I mean, $16.7 million is definitely not a lot, but for a mediocre quarterback like Nick Foles, maybe it is, okay? So I really don't know what to think about the contract. I think it's a okay contract, but it's definitely not favorable for us. And it's definitely not going to be good if Nick Foles does not work out in Chicago beyond next year. But it is what it is, I guess. Like I mentioned, we did give up a 4th round compensatory pick for him, which I'm not too mad about, okay? A 4th round pick for a quarterback that we're expecting to be the starter, I mean, that's not that much to give up. The key thing, though, guys, is that Nick Foles needs to work out as a starter. Otherwise, this trade looks absolutely horrible. Giving up a 4th round pick and taking on this contract is only going to look good if Nick Foles actually succeeds as a starter. So, guys, I'm saying it right now. This is the trade that either gets Ryan Pace fired or lets him stay beyond this year. If Nick Foles does not work out, if we have another horrible season, we're going to be left with a terrible contract, a quarterback that is not good, and we're going to be in shambles, and Ryan Pace is definitely going to be fired. So, this is such a risky move. I really don't know, again, what to think about it right now, but let me talk about the positives and the negatives. Let me talk about the positives first of all, guys, and the biggest positive I see here is that we are getting a veteran who has had success in a system like this in the past. Now, although that success has been kind of limited, okay, it's only been in certain stretches, when Nick Foles has been put in the right situation, he has shined. Whenever he has a pretty good defense around him like he did with the Eagles in 2017 and 2018, in the playoffs you saw, and in 2013 when he had a really good offensive system around him with really good playmakers, with a play caller that's actually calling plays that seem to work for him, he has had some level of success. Not just some level, he has had a lot of success, okay? He was a Pro Bowler in 2013, in 2018 and 2017, he had a lot of success in the playoffs, okay? In 2017, he was a Super Bowl MVP, just outplaying Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, in the Super Bowl. And in 2018, if Alshon Jeffrey just caught that ball, you don't know how far the Eagles could have gone. They maybe could have gone to the Super Bowl again because Nick Foles was having another pretty amazing postseason. So, guys, Nick Foles, he is a veteran quarterback who has experience playing in the biggest games, in the biggest moments, and shining in those moments. So, this guy is without a doubt clutch. I mean, he has some type of black magic, okay, to him. Like, there's something magical about him that when he turns on some type of button, okay, he just completely goes off, okay? With that stretch he had in 2013, with that stretch he had in the playoffs in 2017 and 2018, like there's some type of magic about him that if he can just be consistent with that, he would be a damn good quarterback. But now getting to the negatives, this guy has not been consistent at all throughout his entire career. And as a starter, he really has not had that much success in the NFL. Yes, while playing as a backup, when filling in for an injured starting quarterback, he has been amazing. When Nick Foles has actually been giving the starting job, he really has not had success in any of his teams. Now, part of that I still feel like is due to the fact that he has not been put in a good position on either one of those teams when he was a starting quarterback. So, with the Rams, that was a really horrible team with Jeff Fisher and all. With the Jaguars last year, he really had no weapons to throw to at all. And that offensive line did not do him any favors at all. That defense was not that great either. So he has been in really shitty situations in this league as a starter. And I know some of you may say that, oh, that's just BS. That's just making excuses for him. But guys, the situation you were in as a quarterback, it really does matter, okay? Because look at a guy like Ryan Tannehill. When that guy was put in the right situation, with the right defense, with the right play caller, with the right team around him, he shined for the first time in his career. So the situation you are in, it really, really matters. But it still concerns me that Nick Foles, as a starter in the regular season at least, has not really been that good. If he gets to the playoffs, then that's a whole different story. Because in the playoffs, he's actually had an amazing career so far. He has some type of magic. I'm telling you guys that when he gets to the playoffs, it activates. But we need that magic to activate in the regular season because getting to the playoffs is so freaking hard in the NFL. It's going to be a little bit easier next year because there's another, wild card team being added to both conferences, but we're still going to have to play good football to actually have a shot. Another massive negative I see from this signing is that Nick Foles is not mobile at all. With Trubisky, with his mobility, he could at least sometimes escape the pocket and escape the pressure that our terrible offensive line, put on him. But if our offensive line is still bad next season, this is not going to work out at all because Nick Foles needs a clean pocket to have success. He also needs better weapons, okay? Allen Robinson is a really good weapon, obviously. Anthony Miller is good at times as well, but we need a number 3 receiver that can actually have, consistent success, whether that be Javon Wims or, a different receiver on the roster or maybe a drafted receiver or another signed receiver. We need to get another weapon for Nick Foles, and the tight end situation still has me a little bit concerned because I'm a little bit iffy on Jimmy Graham, but if we can just somehow get him the weapons and get him the offensive line, I think Nick Foles can have success because he has had success with that in the past. Okay, Matt Nagy has worked with Nick Foles before. Our QB coach now, forgot his name, or John DeFilippo, yeah. John DeFilippo, he worked with Nick Foles when Nick Foles went to the Super Bowl and, obviously won it and won the Super Bowl MVP. So we have a lot of people on the roster right now that have worked with Nick Foles in the past. He has worked in the system before. This is probably also going to be the best defense that Nick Foles has played with in his career, which that's a big thing to keep in mind as well, because if you have a defense like this behind you, okay, you just need to go out there and be average. You don't need to be a superstar. You don't need to be the best quarterback in the league. We are just looking for an average quarterback. Can we please at least get an average quarterback? If Nick Foles can do that, he's going to have success because this defense is still really freaking good. So overall, guys, although there are many negatives with this signing, including the fact that, he's not mobile at all. He has not had that much success in the regular season. He was 0-4 last year as a member of the Jaguars. There's a lot of, bad that's coming with the signing, a lot of risk that is coming with the signing. There are positives as well. If we can somehow get the playoff Nick Foles in the regular season, if we can, put that offensive system around him, put the offensive line around him, put the playmakers around him, and put him in a position to succeed, then I think he can succeed. All right, so now I want to take a look at Nick Foles' stats throughout his career, and I'm going to start with last year with the Jaguars. So, like I mentioned earlier, the Jaguars situation was not a good situation to be in. The playmakers were not that good. The offensive line was really spotty at times. The defense was not that great either. So, not a good place to be in. He went 0-4. Not playing that great at all, obviously. He only threw for 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Only 736 yards. But I don't know if there's too much you can take away from only last year because he only played 4 freaking games. And, it's a very small sample, okay? So you can't take away too much from that. But let's take a look at 2017 and 2018 now with the Philadelphia Eagles. In the regular season, he did go 2-1 in 2017. He went 4-1 in 2018. The completion percentage in 2017 was not that good. It was 56%. In 2018, it was 72%. The touchdowns in 2017, he threw for 5 and 2 interceptions. In 2018, he threw for 7 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So, as you can see, the sample size in the regular season is not that much because he was the backup behind Carson Wentz, but Carson Wentz got hurt both years going into the postseason, so Nick Foles was a starter for the postseason, and both years, honestly, he played well enough for them to, advance really far. In 2017, obviously, that was his year. That was the year he went absolutely nuts. He threw for 6 touchdowns, only 1 interception. He threw for 971 passing yards, and he had a passer rating of 115.7. So that was the year, guys, that, Nick Foles showed his magic. He outplayed the greatest quarterback of all time in the Super Bowl. He won the Super Bowl MVP, which is a big-ass accomplishment. I mean, few quarterbacks in the history of this game have won that. So that's a big thing right there to win that, to show to the world that you can perform in that stage, in that type of pressure, okay? So Nick Foles, without a doubt, he thrives under pressure. In 2018, his stats were not as great in the playoffs, but he still threw for 3 touchdowns. He did have 4 interceptions, so that's not that great, obviously. But like I mentioned, he did play well enough to win. If Alshon Jeffrey catches that ball, in that game against the Saints, maybe the Eagles move on because they were playing pretty good at that point. So Nick Foles did have a decent amount of success with the Eagles there in the postseason. Before that, he was with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was only a backup. He only started 1 game, which he won, so there's not too much to take away from that. With the St. Louis Rams in 2015, it did not go that great. He was a starter for 11 games. He only went 4-7. He had a completion percentage of 56.4. He threw for 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, so that year was really freaking bad. Again, you have to remember that he had Jeff Fisher as a coach, and not that great playmakers, but, I don't want to make too many excuses for him. He did play really horrible that year. And obviously, before that year with the Rams, he was with the Eagles for 3 years, from 2012 to 2014. 2013 was the year when he absolutely went off. He had that stretch of just being absolutely amazing. That stretch where he did throw for like 7 touchdowns in a game as well. Under Chip Kelly, he had a record of 8-2. He threw for 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. That's really freaking good. 2,891 passing yards. He had a passer rating of 119.2. And that year in the postseason, he did lose the only game he played, but he did throw for 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, only 195 yards though, so take of that what you will. But those are Nick Foles' stats throughout his career. Like I mentioned, he's only had 2 stretches of playing absolutely amazing. Looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But every other time, he's really been mediocre at best or below mediocre. So if Nick Foles can just be mediocre for us, be an average quarterback, this signing is going to look pretty good because that is all we need to win a Super Bowl right now. Last year, our quarterback play was way below mediocre. And yes, I understand that we had so many problems, okay? The offensive line, the playmakers were so bad. So if we don't fix any of that, Nick Foles is going to fail as well. And I also have to mention, though, that Nick Foles, he is not the starter yet, okay? He's probably going to have to earn that job. As of my knowledge right now, we're probably not going to just give it to him. We're probably going to give Trubisky a chance still to earn that job. And I know a lot of you are really against Trubisky right now. A lot of our fan base just hates him with a passion right now. You still have to keep in mind that this guy is only 1 year removed from a pretty good season where he was a Pro Bowler, where he looked like he had a lot of upside in this league. Now, last year was absolutely horrible, but there were a lot of factors that did play into that with the terrible supporting cast around him, with the questionable play calling. I mean, we did not really put Trubisky in a position to succeed, but I do understand going after Nick Foles, giving a veteran like him a chance. Again, that contract has me a little bit scared, okay, because even though $16.7 million is not that much to pay for a starting quarterback, we still do not know if Nick Foles is for sure going to be the starter. With the money that we are paying him, he likely will be, but, there's probably going to be a competition, so it's such a tricky situation to be in. The Bears right now, they are not in an enviable spot when it comes to all this because, there's a lot of question marks right now. Now, one thing I really do not like about the Bears fan base right now is that we are literally crying after every single move, okay? Whatever move the Bears could have made at quarterback, even if we got Derek Carr, even if we got Andy Dalton, even if we got, a different quarterback, whatever move we were going to make, our fan base was going to cry regardless. We are in a state right now where we're pretty much whining after each move, and I understand why, because we're so sick of losing, okay? Guys, I am sick of losing too. I've been watching this team my entire life, and I've never seen them win a Super Bowl. I've only seen them in the Super Bowl once with a terrible quarterback, and we lost that. So I understand your frustration. I want a good quarterback too, but let's at least give this guy a chance, okay? Stop hating on him constantly. I mean, social media is full of hating Bears fans right now. It seems like literally nobody is happy with this move. I'm getting alerts from Bleacher Report on how much Bears fans are already hating on Nick Foles. Like, guys, calm down. Give this guy a chance at least. Let him actually play a game and then form some judgment on him. I know it's a really tough situation to be in. It's really tough to be a Bears fan right now because we did expect a Super Bowl last year, but it all came crumbling apart. Our offense was absolutely horrible, but we do need to keep in mind that our defense is still elite. If we can have average quarterback play next year, we are going to be back in playoff contention, back in Super Bowl contention. At this point, guys, I do not care who the quarterback is. Whether it is Mitch Trubisky, whether it is Nick Foles, as long as they can win games, I am okay with that. So hopefully this move works out in the long run. Hopefully it actually helps us win games. Hopefully Nick Foles, if he is a starter, he has success in the regular season and the playoffs, okay? Because to get to the playoffs where he has had success, he needs to first do good in the regular season. But that remains to be seen. So a really risky move by Ryan Pace. Again, I have a lot of mixed emotions on this, but that is really all I want to say in this video. We got Big D Nick, okay? The former Super Bowl MVP winning quarterback, the most memed quarterback of all time, I feel like. He is on the Chicago Bears. Please, Nick Foles, bring us a Super Bowl, okay? Whether it is you or Mitch Trubisky, I do not care, but please somebody bring us a Super Bowl. As always, bear down.